Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to season 12 of IRC. We are back with F1 2025, and we're going to be starting it off with an epic track of Silverstone. In the combox with me is Kapil, myself, which is SwaggerTurbo, and SimplyYT. Simply, you want to start up?
I do want to start up. I want the drivers to start their engines more. Like, we've been gone for way too long. Everyone is excited to come back. So are we. And so let's get started with a really, really amazingly prepared, well done, handcrafted trailer. And not bad odds for the five lights to go out over here as they have, and we have begun racing. Going side by side, going into back at the back end. Almost three wide. So Alex Joseph has sent in once again, has sent Fury into he has retired from this race. Turns on, there it goes, Wizard of Oz, clearly on the charge. These huge collision. An amazing trailer right there. Absolutely puts into video the absolute energy that these drivers will be carrying into this new season. What are your thoughts, Kapil? What do you expect?
Hey, good evening, folks. It's been a long time and it's good to be back with the new and improved new editions of F1. F1 25 looks very promising and the hype is real. We are back. It's good to be back and we're starting off with a classic in Silverstone. No better place to duke it out to start with. Um, yeah, honestly, it's a long time coming, so let's get this show on the road.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
EA has done a really good job of at least fixing a lot of issues that were there in the previous games. But yeah, we're back for F1 25. A lot of excited racers as well. They were ready and they're like, okay, let's get the season started. And yeah, Silverstone, a really classic track. You got Maggots and Beckett's and the fast sweeping right-handers, and it's a really, really good track. So really excited to see what kind of racing we'll see in this particular season.
Certainly, I believe the drivers are in qualifying already, quite a bit ahead than expected. I guess we can see a hot lap on board while we're in qualifying. But in the meantime, everyone who's in the chat, thank you so much for being here, obviously. And please predict, what do you expect from not only the weather but also the drivers? Who would you place your bets on getting pole on this track, which has been laser scanned? So quite a lot of changes that these guys will have to adapt to, and it's not as straightforward as it was in the previous games.
While
Yeah, that's
we wait for our lovely folks to go out on their outlap, let's have a look at a hot lap prepared by our very own Bharat.
Well, that was a really, really good hot lap by Azim Banatwala. Totally not silent, totally amazing car, good sound. On board with Alex Joseph, who is about to begin his hot lap in the Haas, and we will see what he will do, taking the sausage curve as he wishes to do so. Did lose a little bit of flex that would compromise his first lap, but very, very important to get a banker lap in there.
And yeah, if you guys haven't seen the video that we have already put out on the channel, it's basically showing the whole grid for F123, which is basically in the afternoons, that doesn't get streamed, and then of course F125, which is getting streamed now. So you guys can go check all the drivers out over there. And yeah, like slowly these guys will start coming out. They obviously had to get their setups in, and now that you can see that it's done, they're out on track. Mostly, I think everyone is out except for 4 people. And yeah, the drivers are out. Let's see what kind of lap times they do, because it's very easy to, you know, drop the car and mess up your whole lap, or just even go slightly wide, going through maggots and pickets and lose time here and there. So a lot of things to consider while basically being on track. And of course, we have a different kind of UI as well. The HUD has changed for this particular game. So a lot to just, you know, see and get used to.
Plenty to take in. Obviously, people have outspoken thoughts about the telemetry that we are seeing. Those 2 circles do indicate something that will naturally come to your mind if you are over the age of 18. Faizan has set a lap though, a really decent banker with a 27.8. Alex has crossed the line with a 29.4, so clearly he's on a slow lap. On board with Arjun Senapati in the Racing Bulls. Exiting the final corner, has dumping the ERS. He's ran out of it, and he crosses with a 26.8, so that is a whole second faster than Faizan, who's currently sat in P2.
Yeah, Racing Bulls, the livery of course is amazing for this year, and yeah, an amazing driver as well being put in that car, because a 126.8 is pretty much a second faster than Faizan. Of course, there are still a lot of drivers out there, like, you know, of course, we won't take any names, but yeah, there are a lot of drivers out there who will be putting their laps in. So let's see where these guys end up by the end of the session, because of course, we still have around 13 minutes left into the session, and this is just their banker laps, get a time in, so that you can start focusing and start pushing in the next few laps. So yeah, the guy with the hot lap, I think, is back in Williams again. So yeah, let's see what kind of lap he does.
Certainly, he's going through maggots and baggets once again. Looks a little bit cleaner this time around as opposed to the hot lap. He was pushing it quite a lot clearly over here, just trying to keep it clean, get that banker lap in. Remember, very, very important, because it's very easy to make a mistake here, and obviously that causes you to start from the back in the middle of all the carnage, which is exactly what you want to be avoiding. Very easy on the downshifts, trying not to snap the car while braking, which does happen quite a lot in this game, I've noticed. Across the line, Banat goes P3 with a respectable 27.3. And we do have quite a few returning names, actually, I would like to point out in this season. We have obviously Banat, we have obviously Aradhya Gupta, who's currently sat in P2. We also have a very, very long time OG, one of the first few people in the server, Oxygen, who is in the Alpine, currently sat in P5. Certainly a very, very welcomed addition to the grid.
Yeah, a lot of new joinees as well as the old-timers over here. So let's just quickly go through all the names as well. We have Arjun Senapati for the RB or the Racing Bulls. We have Aradhya and Jishnu for Mercedes. We have Banat in the Williams. We have Oxygen in the Alpine. Faizan Aston Martin. Death by Monkey in the Red Bull. Rossi and Alex in the Haas. We have both the Saubers 10th and 11th right now, which is Satwik and Sanju. We have Easy Level Bot, who is Faizan's teammates. And yeah, King James hasn't set a lap yet. Of course, he's also one of the faster drivers out there. He's in P15 right now, and while we are talking about that, Aradhya sets a 126.9. So it's pretty close, the gap up top. But yeah, both the Merc drivers are doing really well right now. But yeah, Dark Knight, Helium, both in the Ferrari, and the lone Mercedes. The lone McLaren is Beaver, who is on our lap right now.
Absolutely. Beaver is a very well-known streamer in the Indian racing scene, if you are aware of him, and he is taking part as a reserve. For now, he's gotten McLaren, which is one of his favorite teams of all time. So clearly, he will be quite happy in that seat. As we're looking at Sanju, who's a new driver who is coming across the line in that Sauber. 29.0 does improve by 3 tenths, but not enough to move up a position. Beaver on an outlap, currently just warming up his tires from F1 23. What we saw earlier, where you can just use the brakes to heat up your tires instead of weaving now, such is no longer possible. So these guys will have to keep an eye out on that tire well while they are heating the tires up. Easy level bot, also known as Octavian, he's on a lap in the Aston Martin teammates with Faizan. Currently without a lap time, going through a very, very tricky corner, as mentioned earlier. We will have to see what sort of a lap time he can pull off. According to the trap map,
Oh, I think Simply has someone at home. But anyways, so as you were talking about, the lap times coming in slowly, we still have 9 minutes left. So most of them are still in the pits. Few of them are coming out. You can do 3 runs. And talking about the version as well. So last time when we were live, we were on F1 23. And yeah, that game and this game, there's a lot of difference, including the DRS. So now, right after lap 1, DRS is enabled, whereas in 23 it wasn't that. It used to be the older one. So a lot of changes in that aspect as well, and not just the UI. But yeah, right now we are on board the McLaren of Beaver, the only McLaren on track as well. We have 17 drivers tonight, and yeah, most of them are just either in the pits or setting a lap time right now. Helium also one of the quick drivers. We've seen him in the tier 1 races earlier on. He also hasn't set a lap time yet, so waiting on him as well. But yeah, Beaver coming up to the cops corner now, takes it pretty decently, using up every single part of the track and going through maggots and Beckett's. And now let's see what kind of an exit he gets onto the hanger straight over here, and pretty early on the battery. It looks like a decent lap, at least till now. So yeah, pretty decent helmet as well on there. He has a red color helmet, looks really nice. And let's see what kind of lap time he'll get. Onto the last 2 corners now, the penultimate corner going in. You can lose the car here, pretty decent on the power. What kind of lap can he put? And it is a P6 for him, a 127.5. That's a pretty decent lap. And yeah, we'll just have to see what kind of where he'll end up by the end of the session, because he will surely have one more lap by the end of the session here.
So I can see Helium had an invalidated lap, but he did clock a 126.5, I guess. It looked like a 5 to me, which is really showing his pace. But yeah, you got to keep it between the white lines. We'll see if he comes back with the cleaner lap. He is harvesting right now, so let's move on to South Ready. Yeah, still not great.
But yeah, as you're saying, you need to get a lap time in, because right now Helium P17, that's a very, very bad place to start, especially with the early lap incidents that we have seen earlier as well. Of course, most of the time it's clean, but it's pretty easy to get into a collision when you're at the back compared to when you're in the front. So yeah, he needs to try and just head down, make sure he at least gets a lap in, rather than going wide somewhere and invalidating the lap. But yeah, we know that he can get the time in, so let's wait and keep an eye out for him. And that's a Sauber just spun out on the left hand side of the screen, I think. And yeah, just coming onto the final straight, 126.0. What a lap.
Yeah, he tore apart the middle sector. He was 8 tenths up on his lap and 2 more tenths in the final sector. Now that is a bold statement there. Jishnu looks like he has the pace. Let's see who can respond to it.
Wow. Yeah, we're just talking about it's the final laps that count. And yeah, the time is such that we are coming towards the end of this session, and this is where it's high pressure for these guys. 5 minutes left. you need to be out on track by maybe 230, 250, that kind of range for your final lap, out lap, and then your not banker, your hot lap. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that as well. But a lot of drivers just trying to follow each other as well, maybe get a tow. But then I think he's just got up at the wrong place over here. And Aradhya, just to teammate, also in the Mercedes now, going up to Maggots and Beckets. Let's see if he can match. Oh, he did.
Yeah, he had
As
a
we're
loose
talking
moment there in Cops. Lost a chunk of time. They're probably going to go again.
Yeah, well, good thing for him is he does have the time to go for one more run and get that lap in, because he's P3 right now, which is pretty good. But yeah, maybe just try to get a Merc 1-2. Let's see how it goes.
Very narrow entry from Faizan. Yeah, this doesn't. He's harvesting this lap to 2.5 seconds down. Who is on a lap? I think. Yes, we have our OG boy Oxygen on his lap. He's just started. Oh, it's a second down already. I think yeah, this is also a harvesting lap. It's not too easy to figure out who is pushing it, isn't. Looks like yeah, this is a case of not pushing. So yeah, it's just a dull period right now. 4 minutes to go. Everyone's in the pits. Bolt on the final set for one final push lap. Yeah, Jishnu comfortably leading 8 tenths to Arjun Senapati, who set the banker in his first run. It is good to see. But none of them are really coming close as of now to Jishnu, which is to be in a very commanding position going into the last run. But you can't put out King James or Helium. They are tried and true veterans of the F1 game, been here with us for many seasons. So we will look to see them back on the track, while we see Alex give his own interpretation of the no rules hot lap, and at least that's one way to kill some time, I suppose.
Yeah, Jishnu 11 just a few seasons ago was actually in tier 3, I believe 2 seasons ago. So in just a matter of 2 seasons, he's shown crazy improvement, to the point where even the likes of, as you were saying, couple Helium have been quite shocked by his pace, and are just struggling to keep up, at least in the social races that we've had so far.
Well, another thing about the Haas over there, doing some costly grass cutting. Well, he is not going to make it back to the pits anyway. So could have just taken it easy, gone onto the road, just get used to the braking points. But anyways, we have a Red Bull and a Sauber on screen, which we can look at, because yeah, they're still on the outlaps, and this is the key time for all these guys to go out, because we are under 3 minutes, I think now, and yeah, this is the time where every single driver out there needs to get out on the track and get their hot lap in, because Jishnu right now is leading with almost 8 tenths of a second. And can anyone get close to them? I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
It's going to be really hard to make up that 8/10 gap, Swagger. I mean, even on tracks like Austria, where you don't really have many corners, it's extremely hard to make up time. And yes, you may argue Silverstone with a lot more corners, especially to a very technical sector 2, plenty of opportunities to make up time. But still, over a lap, 8 whole tenths is just very, very difficult for one to make up. So definitely will be a challenge for the likes of Aradhya Gupta, Banat, Oxygen, Helium, all of these guys who are presently on outlaps. And yeah, as you can see, quite a lot of traffic around sector 2, a very, very big train of cars that are just going through, trying to make space over here. Could there potentially be a driver who does not get to start in that time, do you reckon, Swan?
Well, let's just say that I've seen people using the pen drive tactics to go faster, but anyways, right now we have the Merc on screen, the guy on pole as of now, just to 11C. Can he go faster? He's a 126.0. Can he go sub 126? Can he get into the 125s? Because his second sector was mega. in the last run. So let's see if we can maybe find a few tenths here and there in the first and third sector. And of course, we know that he's really good in the second sector.
Certainly, I think we might have just found our Dalvish Singh for F1 right here. Jishnu 11C pushing on with the ERS on overtake, by the way, which is something we should do now, which did catch quite a few of us off guard when we first drove this game. But now he's going through just before, I'm not sure what turn this is, I'm not going to butcher it, but I just very, very precise lines by Jishnu over here, not losing the traction at all. He's very much in control of his car, not a little bit of slide, not a little bit of understeer, and there's a harsh right in front of him that could potentially be blocking. Has kicked up quite a lot of grass onto his car. Hopefully that does not hinder him in any way so far. Going through Baggins and Beckles now, downshifting to 6th, and then 5th before exiting with the overtake. DRS turned on crossing, and he's 100, almost 200s down on his previous lap time in the final sector. Has some time to make up through here compared to his previous lap, and I'm sure he knows that too. He is using up his battery, but he's almost out of deployment. Won't really need much more of it as the lap is almost over. Going over the sausage cup, this is definitely going to cost him time. Car was really unsettled over there with the ERS turned down once again, coming across the line. He does improve by only 4,000ths of a second. Aradhya Gupta, Arjun Singh, but they cannot improve. Bharatwala down up into P2 with a 26.6, still 6 tenths of a gap remaining. Faizan next across the line in his Aston Martin, 3 turns down through the second sector. Can he improve? Does not improve. Next up is Beaver in the McLaren, and he is coming across the line, and he has improved a little bit up into P7 ahead of both the Aston Martins. Dark Knight in the Ferrari is now again using up his ERS up into 11th, only for him behind both the Aston Martins. And Helium, a very, very big shock, has not been able to put in a lap time, and he starts last. This will be devastating for Helium.
Well, not just for Helium, but it's devastating for us Ferrari fans as well. Yeah, the real life, it's same kind of thing happens, and yeah, in game also nothing has changed. So it's Ferrari 11th and 18th, and we have an entry as well towards the end of the session. We had another member named Gangster who joined the game, and he set a 127.1, I think, putting him up in to the top 6. So late entry, but yeah, a pretty decent lap, getting him up into a decent starting position, I would say. And now everything goes down to the 5 red lights, and let's just see where and how the first lap or the first turn goes, because there is a lot of carnage that can happen, but if they keep it clean at the same time, it can be beautiful racing.
Absolutely. As qualifying comes to an end over here, we have Jishnu 11 in the Mercedes on pole, pushing everybody 5.5 tenths to Azim Banatwala there. A really, really good lap. But to help him, Arjun Senapati in P3. So perhaps there will be a little bit of challenge for Azim. Aradhya Gupta, the second Mercedes up in P4, he has quite a lot of expectations going for him. And of course, let's not forget Oxygen, who I cannot stop mentioning, the GOAT of IRC, a very OG GOAT, is currently in P7, I believe. So he has potential of perhaps reaching that podium that's not too far. But of course, strategy does come into play at Silverstone. And now is when they have the time to set their strategies. They have approximately a minute. So what strategy do you think is ideal over here, Swagger?
Well, I haven't played F125, so not really sure if it's still a one-stop strategy, because I'm pretty sure like in the earlier versions, we have done a one-stop where you start on the mediums, you end on the hards, and that used to be a decent strategy because this is one of the slowest pit stops, if you think about it, because once you enter, you're literally at 80, whereas everyone else is going fast, and it's a very, very long pit lane. So there's a lot of time to be gained and lost at the same time. A few safety cars might help a few, but yeah, again, safety cars also getting a safety car here basically might be a little bit far-fetched, but again, it looks as if it's going to be a clear race for now. We'll just have to wait and see where these guys end up.
Certainly, and with clouds looming over, As we can see right now, most of the drivers have opted for mediums. Arjun Senapati and Oxygen both on hards. That is quite interesting. And we also have Satvik Reddy in the kick sauber, who has also taken up the hards. And so are quite a few of the drivers. I think they know something about the weather that we don't, because I see clouds. It could be that some of them are expecting rain. Maybe they see rain on their radar, and maybe it's quite a bit later into the race. So I guess the medium runs are trying to stretch them, but most of them are going on to hard. So perhaps hard medium if it does remain dry, or if it does obviously start raining, then hard to whatever. Well, the chaos will ensue when such does happen, as we saw in real life just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I would love for something like the real life thing to happen in game as well. But yeah, we are ready and going for the formation lap, and Jishnu is leading it. We have Alex on the softs, which is interesting to say the least, because yeah, I think he's hoping for a safety car for sure, because it doesn't make sense to go on to softs, as we were talking about it earlier. You do need to pit, and the pit is very, very slow. So interesting strategy call from the Haas driver right there. But yeah, few of them on the hards, most of them I think on the default mediums strategy, and they need to get the tires into the perfect condition. And yeah, let's see what kind of a start these guys get, because Jishnu is on the outside of turn one, and I think if the Williams of Banat gets a decent start, he could send one down the inside.
Well, certainly, I think Alex taking this soft strategy is actually not too bad, because he is anyways in P15, which is almost last, and it will not hurt to take a risky strategy. And if the safety car does come out, he has the potential of gaining quite a few places in the race as obviously it unfolds.
Yeah, all of them just so weaving around now, getting the heat into their tires. As you were saying, like the F123, you can't just brake and get heat into your tires. So it's more realistic now, is what at least what I've heard. And a few drivers, especially towards the back of the grid, they're like all together. So it's like both the Aston Martins are together, both the Red Bulls, Haas, and Sauber, pretty close to each other. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy they go in for. Let's say we have a safety car and both of them are really close to each other. Double stacking mostly does not work over here. So that also comes into the mix. Whereas, when you're in the top of the grid, like let's say the Mercedes, both of them can do a strategy of masterclass to try and jump the other drivers. So there could be a bit of team play going on, or just showing that yes, I am the first driver. Let's see what kind of team games also go on in this season.
Certainly, as far as I know, quite a lot of the drivers are driving for themselves, although they are, you know, in teams. But naturally, the Drivers' Championship is something that all of them win. So that is one aspect of it, as you have mentioned. Cars are lining up on the grid, and this is a very interesting starting position by Faizan. He's clearly looking to gain as many positions as possible with that extremely aggressive angle on the grid, while the rest of them have lined up pretty much straight on. So we will see how this turns out for Faizan as we wait now for the lights to go out. 4 lights, 5 lights, lights out, and away we go for the Silverstone race in Tier 25, Season 12. Amazing start by Jishnu, great start by Banatwala. Arjun Senapati moving up a few positions. Aradhya Gupta staying in P4. King James is now up into P5. Faizan and Gangster having a decent battle in the back. Faizan almost losing his car, and there's a yellow flag that seems to be an Aston Martin of easy level bot who spun around, and so has Death by Monkey. No safety car so far. There is a yellow flag through Sector 1 though, and this is almost multiple battles going on back here. Alex trying to make a move on Faizan, and King James trying to make a move on the two of them. He's down the inside of Alex, almost touching Alex's rear, but manages keep it contact free, just like how you'd expect it during Corona.
What a race this has been. Helium from all the way down to from P18, he's up to P9 now, and at the back of King James, just 3 tenths between them, and going into Cops. Goes extremely wide. This gives an opening for the Ferrari to try and maybe go down the inside, but no. He goes wide and actually makes a move on Alex, who had the door open and gets overtaken into the highest straight. So King James making moves off, the get-go. Dark Knight in P10, using a bit of PRS over here, and Helium is up to P8 now. He started 18th, and he has gained 10 positions in one lap. So this is the kind of pace that he had. Unfortunately for him, in the quali he couldn't set a time, but yeah, now he's back on the charge, trying to get back on the top spin.
Certainly quite a few drivers who have made a lot of losses. As you can see, Oxygen, he's losing his end plate on the right hand side. Clearly that's going to be causing him quite a little bit of downfalls. Both the Sauber cars shuffling around position. Satvik Reddy having a look down the inside, not sending it on Sanju, and Beaver has fallen quite a bit back down, and very aggressive turn in from Dark Knight, having Alex having to avoid contact over there. Oxygen right on the tail of Alex now, who is on the tail of Dark Knight, but Alex might not have DRS, and he does not. Oxygen does, using up his DRS, trying to find that space to make a move. He's on the outside now, still staying there. Both of them still going side by side, and Oxygen decides to back out. Better to avoid contact than make massive risks.
Yeah, getting into the field, you can take different kind of lines, and yeah, it was just the move was not there yet, and Alex doing a wonderful job of defending over there. So right now they are kind of settled in. We have like two packs because Dark Knight is almost 2.5 seconds away from his teammate Helium, whereas Faizan going wide, coming onto the hanger straight, goes off track, gets back in, and gets overtaken by King James. That's a very costly mistake for him, because he now needs to try and stay with him for the DRS. Otherwise, yeah, it does not look as if he has the kind of pace to stay with the top 5 as of now.
Certainly, Faizan does seem to be struggling with the dirty air, and so will the rest of the drivers, because the dirty air is genuinely very, very extreme. So now, especially when you look at Helium, who has multiple cars in front of him, that's a lot of dirty air to deal with, and the car will just be really, really ready to snap. So he will have to be extremely careful to just make sure that his car is in control. It's all about the patience game. If you do not have the patience on the throttle, if you do not have the patience on the brakes, you will mess up something, and that could potentially turn out to be a massive, massive incident that could take place. Multiple cars involved. Right now, only Helium and Faizan getting involved in a battle between each other. Helium trying to make a move down the inside through the field, and he has successfully done. Faizan letting him by. I do believe Faizan might be dealing with some sort of a damage. Gangster in the McLaren, showing who owns this street, getting past Arjun Senapati, moving up into P4. King James now, Arjun Senapati's teammate right behind him, and Helium trying to eyeing up a move on both the racing bulls as Arjun Senapati goes wide.
Indeed, but Arjun Senapati, not the greatest of exit out of Cops, gets bogged down a little bit, and his teammate King James is right up his gearbox now, and so is Helium. Helium is looking at the rear diffuser of that racing bull, and all of them having DRS right now. Of course, we don't know how much ERS they have as of now, but this is such close racing, and it's really, really nice to see these guys just following each other so closely. And Gangster, even though he has overtaken, Arjun Senapati has got back up. Helium tried to go for a move around the outside. Can it be a through goes Hamilton move? And it does. He goes down the inside, gets the tank slapper, and somehow manages to keep the car going, and both of them going side by side through the first, through the start finish straight. And wow, what lovely racing that was.
Certainly, that is very, very desperate from Helium. Clearly, you can see he's really trying to get past both of the racing bulls right in front of him, because Faizan's now on his tail, and he has ghosted through Helium. Helium has left the session. He's been disconnected. That will be amazing news for Faizan, horrible news for Helium. And Faizan now can focus on the racing bulls ahead of him. Has a little bit of a gap right behind him to Dark Knight, about 2.5 seconds. So he is in a great position. Oxygen going around the outside of Alex, or at least Alex doing great defending by keeping Oxygen in check, giving him just about enough space to stay on track. Oxygen does make the move though, and he's ahead. And next up, Rossi, who's going side by side with Alex, both the Haas guys, and looks like Alex will not turn this into a fight. Faizan, the first one to pick up 3 seconds due to track limits.
Yeah, we didn't really even talk about the track limits, but a lot of these guys will be getting track limits for just going off or cutting a few corners, of course. But yeah, that will definitely come handy for a few drivers who can keep it clean. And right now we see a battle for P4. Arjun Senapati right behind Gangster. He needs to make this overtake because he's just slowing King James down, and King James very patiently just staying behind them, letting them fight, not getting involved as of now. Maybe just saving ERS as well and looking for the long game, because of course you need to make a pit stop. It's only lap 5, and Arjun Senapati putting in the work now to try and get Gangster to make a mistake. He is 1.6 seconds behind Aradhya outside the DRS zone, and this is a perfect chance for both the Racing Bulls to maybe overtake the McLaren. And yeah, while we're talking about that, Helium is also back, so let's see if he can get back the positions that he lost because of the disconnection. But yeah, right now, one of the Racing Bulls going down the inside of the McLaren, a beautiful move going into Brooklands and onto Lovefields now. And yeah, that's pretty much a done deal for Gangster, and now Gangster will be under pressure from the teammate of Arjun Senapati, who is King James. Now, he's waited long enough. Will he make a move down the inside of Cobbs? No, he thinks otherwise, stays at the back, and he goes wide as well for good measure, and maybe now he can focus and try and get a move done in the hang straight.
Certainly might have been a track limit there for King James. He has to be really careful. Faizan's already picked up at 3 seconds. Quite a lot of these drivers can pick up well more penalties. King James with the DRS on the rear of Gangster. Gangster also has the DRS, so this will be a really, really hard fought move. It does not happen just yet, but Gangster has gone off wide. He's going to lose a little bit of time. Will King James, he's eyeing the inside, but naturally will not go too far. King James, great race car from him, just picking and choosing where he wants to make a move, what he wants to do. He's been conserving the battery a little bit, forcing Gangster to use up his so that he stays within the DRS of Arjun Senapati. Great teamwork by both of the Racing Bulls to put a single driver under quite a lot of pressure.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier as well. They have an ample amount of options now. They can attack together, they can choose to, undercut, overcut, all the strategy options open up. And right now he's getting an amazing exit and goes down the inside of Gangster yet again. And this time, can Gangster go down the inside? No, he covers it up. And that's 2 position loss in 2 laps. He tries to get back at the Racing Bull, but King James says goodbye. I'm going to try and keep this position now, and he will be under attack from Faizan. Maybe maybe by the next lap if Faizan has the pace, because he's only 5 tenths behind him. But they will have DRS going on to the hanger straight, so I think Gangster can hang on to the back of this train. And while talking about trains, let's just talk about Jishnu. He is checked out. He has a 4-second gap to the Williams in front, and yeah, he's just been chilling, putting the fastest laps in, and Alex also getting a warning. 3-second penalty. Sauber really, really close to Alex as well. And yeah, Alex under a lot of pressure right now.
Certainly Alex will be overtaken by Satvik Reddy over here. That move is almost confirmed. Alex touches the rear right of Satvik Reddy, but keeps his car straight. Now Death by Monkey in the Red Bull, who did have an incident, has caught up to these guys as well. Is trying to make a move. He's completely out of the ERS though. There's nothing left. E-Dog, or EP10 as he's also known as, is trying to follow his teammate Death by Monkey to try and overtake Alex, who is clearly struggling quite a bit. Not sure with what, perhaps damage of some sort. You can figure out what sort of. And yeah, both the Red Bulls are putting quite a lot of pressure on Alex. Remember, every point matters, and we only have points for the top 15. So currently, both of the Red Bulls clearly aiming to finish somewhere in the top 15, because right now they scored nothing.
Well, talking about struggles, Helium still has issues with connecting to the game. He lost connection to the game. Maybe a power cut, maybe some internet issues, no idea what. But yeah, it's not looking too great for him. He's in P9, but Beaver is really, really close to him and probably will overtake because he will be on AI as of now. And yeah, as we are seeing the battles earlier, it is King James versus Arjun Senapati as of now. King James is really close to Arjun, but maybe there's a bit of this team play going on for DRS. Both of them just chilling at 4 and 5, pulling up the gap onto Gangster, who has been overtaken by Faizan, and yeah, goes a bit wide as well. But what a move that was by Faizan.
Certainly great move by Faizan, not something that you see every day, but certainly when you do see it, it does seem like Disney World, when you visit Disney World first time as a child. Dark Knight now on the rear of Gangster, who does actually have front wing damage. So clearly that is the reason for his struggles. Next up will be his teammate if Dark Knight does get by, but that is quite a bit down the road. For now, Dark Knight focused on getting past Gangster. He has the DRS. He can play it smart over here, not overtaking, conserving his battery, and then setting up a move right after Maggots and Beckets on the hanger straight to try and get by, because that is a place where if Dark Knight can manage to pull out a decent gap in the final couple of corners, it will be nearly impossible for Gangster to keep up with him. As we have seen, he's lost quite a lot of time, a second and a half to Faizan already. Dark Knight, though, does not want to wait for the hanger straight, sends it down the inside of Cops and gets it done. It says, Hamilton, this is exactly how you do it while sitting in his car.
Oh, that was really nice. But I think Gangster is just falling back because of the front wing damage that he has. But that's unfortunate for him because he was in the top 5 in that McLaren. And now the McLaren duo is just, right behind each other, 8 and 9. And yeah, overall now, if you look at the whole race, Mercedes have a pretty decent chance of getting the podium at least. Both of them in the podium, not making any mistakes. Aradhya about 2 seconds behind Banat. Can go for a strategic move, but yeah, Jishnu has basically clocked out. He has a 5.8 second lead, and whatever Banat does, he'll have minimum of an extra lap that to respond to that. So a lot of time over there. We have Alex who's in the pits or coming out of the pits as of now, and yeah, we have E-Dog right in front of him. So one of the first pit lane entries for the soft tires of Alex, yeah, that hasn't really gone to plan for him.
Certainly not, and he's decided to change his wing, go on to a pair of mediums. Well, the mediums won't take him to the end, so clearly he still is hoping for some sort of a safety car to help him out, and Helium does not need any help as he gets past Rossi. A battery pack that is completely full is enough, as Rossi has completely drained out his battery, had essentially no contest over there, because remember, battery pack, very, very important in this game. If you have that battery, you can just dump it, and it gives you so much extra straight line that if you're fighting against a person who does not have anything to defend themselves with, it's pretty much done game. And as you can see, Helium is, well, of course, still trying to recover his race. Only 9 laps in. We haven't got around to the first round of pit stops, or rather the first and only round of pit stops. Sanju going off white, Satvik ready, the other S is now has the DRS, and Sanju on mediums who's been struggling. Satvik on the hards flies by due to the mistake of Sanju, and I'm sure that these Sauber guys are aiming for something because right now they are in the points. Sanju does seem to have a little bit of damage and he pulls off into the pit, so clearly does not wish to continue on while struggling.
Yeah, the pit entry also moved up a little bit compared to the previous versions of F1, and yeah, it's a pretty decent entry now. Whereas earlier you had to brake very early, now you can brake a bit more late, getting into the pit lane. But yeah, as of now, the closest on track, at least for position-wise, it's just King James and Arjun Senapati keeping that 5 to 16th gap, just using the DRS and actually slowly catching up to Aradhya. The gap is now down to 1.8, and we are on board the Dark Knight, who's just 5 tenths behind Faizan. And let's say the race ends like this, he will definitely get that position because Faizan has a 3-second penalty. So you need to make sure you keep your nose clean, keep the car on track, and not make that many mistakes. And yeah, Faizan already has the 3-second penalty, so now he can start pushing, trying to maybe get a few warnings and just leave it there.
Well, I would like to think that Faizan does not want any more penalties, but what Helium wants is that P10 away from Oxygen, and clearly he has taken Oxygen's breath away, flying by in his Ferrari, and all Oxygen can do is breathe out carbon dioxide because, well, absolutely nothing left to defend there. The most he can do is try and stay within Helium's DRS, but that will be quite hard to do since we all know Helium. He has crazy amounts of pace when he is at it, and clearly very much focused to try and finish somewhere in the top 5 by the end of it.
Yeah, Helium just 1.2 seconds behind Beaver now, who is 5.3 seconds. That's pretty much been constant for the last couple of laps now. And yeah, Helium definitely catching up to him, but the gap between Helium and Jishnu is quite a lot. So to get anywhere close to a podium for Helium is going to be really hard. And while we're talking about Helium, his teammate Dark Knight trying to go for a move down the inside of Faizan over there. But yeah, just can't get it done at that particular part of the track. Is following him onto the cop's corner now, and will have a beautiful slipstream and DRS to help him on the hanger straight. If he can just keep it clean going into Maggots and Beckets, a 0.3 second gap. Let's see what it is once he gets out of this onto the hanger straight now. And yeah, that's a very, very good exit for him. He's only lost, like, a couple of tenths here and there, but yeah, with the help of DRS, this should be a pretty, clean cut move. But yeah, we just swapped positions with Ferrari over there. Faizan getting overtaken, but Faizan takes it back again. And right now, Banat is under pressure, I think. Oh, actually, yeah, he was under pressure, and Aradhya Gupta, who was in P2, has turned on the afterburners and has overtaken Banat for P2. So it's a 1-2 for Mercedes, 7.4 second gap to the leader in front. And now Banat will get the chance of trying to overtake him back with the help of DRS.
Certainly, Banat, who was just maintaining his race, just trying to keep up the pace, do whatever he possibly can to keep that P2, has lost it. Has the opportunity to conserve the ERS now, since he is well within the DRS of Aradhya Gupta. But of course, we know Aradhya, he's not going to let that position by easily. But let's not forget once again that Aradhya hasn't had the best of luck at Silverstone and is very crash prone over here. His words, not mine. Dark Knight though, on the rear of Faizan, still trying to get by. Faizan doing really, really good defending to keep that position, fighting with every tooth and nail that he has to stay in P6, because he knows this is the best he can do, since obviously King James and Arjun Senapati have absolutely cropped him.
Yeah, it's almost a 6 second gap, and we did see Dark Knight trying to overtake into Stowe, while we just spanned to Aradhya, making the great overtake on Banat as well. But here's round 2 of Dark Knight making a move on Faizan, tries to go around the outside of Stowe. Can he make the move stick? Faizan down the inside, Ferrari around the outside, and this time he does. He has the tire advantage as well, and Faizan is like, you know what, I'm going into the pits, getting a new boots of, a new set of tires, and we'll have the battle yet again, maybe later on.
Yeah, and Gangster getting a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. For someone whose race wasn't going well enough already, it has just been ruined even further. If he does stop again, then he can get rid of that penalty, but if he does not, well, that will stick with him until the end. We have Death by Monkey in the pits, Rossi in the pits. Faizan, of course, was pulled off in as well, and I believe Satvik Reddy was also in the pits. So quite a few medium runners actually going into the pits now. Doesn't make sense for them to stay out anymore. They can go into the hards and take it until the very, very end. So perhaps the best time to pit right now, and more clouds looming over Silverstone as we see. Maybe there may be some rain that could be lurking up maybe towards the end of the race, hence why they're stopping so early. Sanju, who's actually gone on to a pair of softs. Very, very interesting strategy from him. We see Banat, who has lost quite a bit of time to Aradhya Gupta over here, and he is within the DRS but not close enough to be making any moves. Could be that he's conserving ERS, but that is the least of his concerns, because we now see him. Okay, but he's pulled off into this. I was about to say Arjun Senapati and King James have caught up, but looks like Arjun Senapati is now the headache of Aradhya Gupta.
And King James getting a 10-second penalty going into the pits. So all the medium runners were losing time to the hard runners for the like Aradhya and Arjun Senapati. And now the hard runners are getting into their own. And when these guys were losing time on their own mediums, they started gaining time on their hards. And that's why we saw so many different drivers just making those overtakes. And as soon as they were overtaken, going into the pits, getting new tires. And now, yeah, all of them are back on the road, and a lot of time to be gained, because of course this is a complete different strategies, two different strategies going on.
Oh, rain!
So it is raining, yeah. While I was talking about strategy, we see a few drops of rain. Maybe that's why we saw, I think, one of the Saubers going on to softs, and this is a strategic masterclass for all the guys on hards. And
yeah,
I'm not sure if Jishnu is on mediums or hards, but he is definitely extending this till the rain starts pouring.
Yeah, but the rain has just begun. So he does have maybe another lap worth of time, or perhaps just was coordinated with Aradhya. Aradhya, you go into the pits, I'll stay, or something that could potentially be happening. Anyone who's pit within the last 2 laps is going to be losing their minds because they're going to lose a lot of time. Faizan getting past Satvik ready, and clearly that is in a very, very desperate situation. Within the next lap or two, everyone will be running into the pits, and because of the conditions getting worse over time, we could now see an increased chance of a safety car coming out, because it is very, very easy to make a mistake, especially for these hard runners who have pulled off a great strategy, but their tires are also extremely worn out at this point. So it could be very easy for them to make a mistake. It could be very easy for them to spin and cause a safety car. Helium and Oxygen, one of the first few guys to pull into perhaps a pair of intermediates. Yes, Helium has gone out to a pair of intermediates, and those will be going all the way until the end. Oxygen is doing the same, but he's also getting his wing replaced. So now all eyes on essentially everybody who's on track, and especially the people who have pit in the last few laps. What will happen to their race? Because they've lost a lot of time. You can see Banat, you can see King James, Faizan, who pit within the last 3 laps, are going to lose a massive amount of time now having to pit again. And remember, Silverstone pits is over 30 seconds long, so a lot of time wasted.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the guys who just pit, but it's still not pouring down that much, so they can extend a few more laps. Helium, of course, had a very, very weird race till now, so goes into the pits, gets a new set of inters. Let's see if those sets are working for him right now, because it does not look very slippery as of now. But again, it's completely different when you're driving, and of course the drivers will know when to pit, when not to pit. So Helium and Oxygen taking the gamble of going into the pits for inters, and our race leader Jishnu also getting into, that is Aradhya Gupta getting into the pits, maybe for a new set of inters as well, but he was on the hards, so this is a interesting strategy to say the least. But yeah, he does get into the pits, gets the inters as well, and we just need to keep an eye out on Helium and his sector times, as well as Jishnu, who's leading with a comfortable margin of almost 10 seconds. It's 9.5 as of now. Can he make the right decision and pit at the right time for inters? Because it's going to be a very, very crucial part of the race for him for now.
Certainly, as long as it isn't wet enough to go on to inters, they can continue. But yeah, we can see Aradhya Gupta in the inters is gaining time, quite a lot of time on Arjun Senapati. This might be the lap to go into the pits for a pair of inters. The hard runners are going to start to struggle. We can see Jishnu's losing quite a lot of time. Almost the 10 seconds that he had gained are now dwindling, and he will have to essentially make a pit stop as quickly as he possibly can. We can see Aradhya Gupta on the inters continuing, won't be blocking his team, and that's for sure. But Arjun Senapati might be an issue for either of them. Presently, King James, who was behind Aradhya Gupta, easy level bot, has managed to make his way up into P5 somehow after having a very quiet race. Jishnu 11th, he pulls off into the pits. Aradhya Gupta absolutely pushing through Maggots and Beckett's, almost losing the car through there, so you can tell that they're slightly overheating still. There's not been... Okay, now the track is starting to flood. Banat is getting past easy level bot here with his fresher hearts, but he will have to go into the pits. Yeah, absolutely struggling through quite a few of the corners there, especially the ones that require quite a lot of downforce. King James deciding to stay out for some reason. Perhaps, yeah, he's given way to Arjun Senapati, so not hold him up. But Banat has stayed out, and quite a few of the hard runners, especially the ones who pit just a few laps ago, have stayed out. So this could turn out to be really, really interesting by the time all the pit stops are done.
James does have a penalty as well, so if he can just overtake Aradhya here and slow him down a little bit, because Arjun has just come out of the pits, and if he can just help his teammate out, that'll be great for him. But it's a 7-10 gap, and I don't see him sending it down into Brooklyns over here. So yeah, it's a interesting strategy to say the least, because as you said, the pit lane entry and the pit lane itself is very, very slow. So he could have gone into the pits the previous lap itself, but he does have new fresh rubber on his car right now, so he's probably going to leave space for Arjun, who should be getting P3. And Dark Knight and Helium, both of them are on inters now, and they might be able to get P4 and P5 because the guys from P5 to 7, as well as King James, who's in P3 as of now, haven't fit. So maybe we could see a Ferrari masterclass, unlike the real life.
Potentially it could be happening. Both the Ferraris in a great spot. Will be moving up quite a few positions. Faizan desperate to get past his teammate easy level, but DRS is still turned on, so overtaking is still very much possible. Maybe it isn't time to pit, and easy level bot gets pushed up quite a bit wide and has to stay out because Faizan has passed his way into the pit. He's like the first, and because of that, easy level bot will be staying out on his 16 lap hold hards. Gangster having to look down the inside of Helium, but he just does not have that grip. So we're in a very, very weird position where the inters aren't significantly faster, but you can still survive on the hards or the mediums or whatever that you're on. So we will have to see as the race progresses, as we come into the final few laps of this race, how things turn out. Jishnu 11C 8.5 seconds ahead, 10th by Monkey, 10 seconds speeding into the pit lane. You can see Gangster just understeering completely, almost going off the track, having to go down to the first gear to get any rotation into that car. Clearly now is the point where you have to go on to inters.
Yeah, you can see these dry tire guys struggling now. It started raining harder as well, and King James, who was he was inside the DRS zone, and yeah, he had under a second gap, but now it's going up to 1.3, 1.4. So it looks like the first two sectors are pretty wet, whereas the final sector, there's still a lot of grip. He's actually gaining time on Aradhya, who looks like he's struggling a little bit going through Mags and Beckett's, but on screen you can see that it is definitely raining. And yeah, we have around 8 laps left, and it's very, very interesting because the hard tire guys haven't fit yet, and they're still not losing, as big of time that these guys, like, basically what I'm trying to say here is they are not losing much time, so it doesn't make sense for them to pit and lose around 30 seconds. So it's really close. We have, I think, we have King James, Banat, Easy Level Bot, Gangster, as well as Alex on the dry tires, whereas everyone else is on either mostly on inters, and the gap in front is 8 seconds. So Aradhya slowly but surely catching up, and there we go. King James, a huge tank slapper, almost losing the car. 8 tenths just gone in one turn. So this is the time, I think, where you need to cross over from the dries to the inters.
Certainly, and as you mentioned earlier, Swagger, that sector 1 and 2 are extremely wet, like especially for these hard runners, these medium runners, whoever's still left on slicks. 3 drivers left on slicks. They have no grip, but then through the final sector they have quite a lot. Something like this we have seen in other games like ACC iRacing, but it's honestly a really, really great addition to F1 games as well, where some of the sectors are wet, some of them aren't. Eventually they'll all get wet enough. As we can see, only 3 drivers out of the 18 remain on slick, so I'm pretty sure they'll be pitting at this point as well. And yeah, the final sector has become wet enough for them to be pitting. King James almost spinning out over here. One thing that is for certain is that Arjun Senapati will be securing that P3, keeping in mind that he does not pick up any penalties, because Banat, who's in the background, is slowly lurking up to Arjun Senapati over here, and if he were to pick up a 3-second time penalty somehow, he will be right in for that podium position once again.
And King James, that's Banat, just stays out even in this wet session. He's like, I was in the top 5, I want to stay in top 5, but the track is not dry enough for the hearts to just hang on. Everyone has gone and got themselves a new set of inters. Gangster getting another 3-second penalty now, and yeah, it's pretty much game done for him, maybe because he got a 10-second penalty going into the pits, and now he's P15s, so might just get one singular point, but again, with all the penalties coming in, would be hard. Right now we are on board E-Dog, who's trying to make a move down the inside of the dry medium runner Alex, and I think there's a bit of contact right there. And yeah, Alex does not have grip on those set of tires, and he needs to get off ASAP. And yeah, at this point, I think it's just way too much rain. You can see that now the advantage of the inters is coming to play, because everyone who was on the hards, at least two of them have gone into the pits, and the rest, no, let's say Alex and Banat, are struggling, and the gap is just increasing more and more.
Certainly, and we can see, talking about gaps, the gap between Aradhya and Jishnu now down to 7.5 seconds. Aradhya is gaining quite a lot of time onto Jishnu here in these treacherous conditions, but it comes with a massive but. You have to gain over 1.5 seconds in a lap to be able to catch up to Jishnu, which currently isn't happening because he's just now hanging around the 8 seconds, in fact losing a little bit of time, just as I mentioned. So clearly the Mercedes guys are sorted for the constructors, but between the drivers themselves there may be some issues. Bharat still staying out. Clearly the words inshallah have haunted him, or are still haunting him lap after lap, as Dark Knight has caught up to Banat, and this might potentially be a really easy move for Dark Knight, but Banat has clearly conserved quite a lot of his battery. He's just dumping it on the straights. Darkly looking for a place to go and make a move onto Banat. He's sending it down the inside over here, has enough grip to stop the car, goes onto the curb, almost loses it. Banat, will he send it back? Yes, he does. He wants to keep the fight going, but unfortunately just does not have the grip to get past, and Helium gets past Banat at the exit of this corner. Banat clearly struggling quite a lot on those hards, and I think he's just trying to salvage whatever he can at this point, because if he pits, he's going to be finishing well outside of the top 10.
Oh, well, simply, if he does not pit, I think he'll still be outside the top 10, because right now he is in P6 and the rest of the guys are on Inters, so they need to try. Oh, that's a... Okay, that was interesting. Dark Knight is letting Helium through. We know that Helium is faster, but the gap is 12 seconds, so I think it was more of a damage control movement right there. He was like, you know what, you are faster, just go through, I don't want to fight you. And of course, it's raining as well. They have to focus on just keeping the car on track rather than just trying to fight the team, each other. And yeah, overall, Helium, a very, very good race by him. He's gained 14 positions till now, and he had a few disconnect issues as well, and is 12 seconds behind P3, which is not a horrible day for him. The strategy somehow has worked for them. And talking about strategies, it's not really worked out for Banat and Alex, because both of them they try to stay out on the hards as well as the mediums. And yeah, Banat right now is all over the place, and Beaver has caught up to him and is only 7 tenths behind him. So yeah, it's not really looking good for Banat. He's just trying to stay out 4 more laps. If he can get a point, that'll be good for him, because right now if he pits, he's definitely out of points.
Yeah, Banat's going to be giving it all for his next 4 laps that remain in this race, but clearly his tires do not wish to give Banat their all, because, well, there is absolutely nothing to give. They can barely stay on the track. Not sure where he can find the grip. Beaver flying past Banat naturally has quite a lot of grip, so he will be pulling out a decent amount of gap. Next up for Banat to be dealing with is Oxygen, and I think it might potentially work out for Banat, because Oxygen is 5 seconds behind. It'll still take him at least a lap or two to catch up, and with Faizan and his penalties, there's a good chance if he can stay within Faizan's penalty range, he could still finish, P9, or perhaps maybe a little bit further ahead if he can keep Oxygen behind, which doesn't really seem to be possible right now. But behind Faizan will be easy level both, and right behind him is King James. So if Banat were to drop down quite a few positions, it's going to be well outside the top 10.
And yeah, it's a really sad day for King James, because he was in the running for maybe a podium or at least a 4th or 5th, because him and Arjun Senapati were really close to each other, and that is what I was talking about earlier as well. Because they were so close to each other, they couldn't fit at the same lap, and King James had to just extend a bit, and he has lost out on a lot of positions, because Arjun right now is in P3, whereas King James down to P11. So not the best of strategy calls from them, but again, it's a dynamic situation right now. He's still 1.2 seconds behind Easy Level Bot and can maybe make an overtake on him, and Faizan has a 3-second penalty. So if he pushes, with whatever he's got, he might be up for a P9 over here.
Could be on the cards for King James. But yeah, certainly King James will not be happy with what decisions have gone down within Racing Bulls, and clearly both the drivers will have to talk to each other and sort of the situation. What Aradhya Gupta, the situation he wasn't looking at was the fact that Arjun Senapati has now caught up to Aradhya Gupta now, and he has a very, very good chance that he might lose his P2, although Arjun Senapati has absolutely no DRS left. So even on a straight, it'll be quite hard for him to get by, although through the corners he is making up time, so perhaps more downforce set up on Arjun Senapati's car. But yeah, this will be a very interesting battle that'll be coming up. Jishnu will just be hearing from Aradhya what's happening because, well, he cannot be seeing what's happening. Faizan gets another 3-second time penalty, and so making King James' job just that little bit easier to get his position now with 6 seconds. Yeah, so well, he doesn't have to worry about E-Dog, but he certainly does have to worry about King James. Now, Oxygen has also finally, after 2 laps, caught up to Banat and will be eyeing a move on him as soon as possible. Faizan, easy level bottom, King James, something is happening over there. Easy level bottom, Faizan have swapped positions. Faizan has lost position to King James as well. Not sure what's happening to Faizan in the background as we still keep our eyes on Oxygen versus Banat. Oxygen going really wide there, almost keeping it on track. Very good efforts from him. Yellow flags, that's a Haas of Rossi going slow on the Hanger straight. No safety cars at this point, so yeah. Oh, and DRS is enabled.
And simply, yeah, it looks really dry. It doesn't look like it's raining, at least from our spectator POV, and it has dried up. So maybe, again, it's only 2-3 more laps left, but can Banat just hold off Oxygen on his worn-out cards and get a P7? Maybe this was his whole plan, from the get-go. But yeah, he has lost out on a top 5, but at least a P7 is a decent finishing position as of now. And yeah, talking about the whole grid as of now, King James, of course, we saw that he lost quite a lot of positions because of the pit strategy and whatnot. Both the Ferraris doing a very good job and getting P4 and 5. We were right behind them in P6. I think he's gained 2 positions from the start, and King James slowly but surely catching up to the back of Easy Level Bot, who does not seem to have that amount of pace. And did we see? Yep, that is Helium into the pits, going in for softs, and it's just 2 laps left. So I think he's going for the fastest lap because he definitely will lose time. It's a very, very slow pits as well. So Dark Knight has basically been given the P4 back, but that promotes Beaver to P5, Banat to P6, Oxygen to P7, and yeah, Easy Level Bot and King James P8 and 9. So Helium has gone back down to 10th with a 7-second gap. Can he do some kind of miracle, or is this a typical Ferrari strategy?
A miracle may only be possible if he's gaining 3 seconds plus over the lap, which will be really hard to do since obviously you come out of the pits with very cold tires. They take a whole lap to heat up, so I think for now maybe a P10 is where Helium might have to settle. King James, on the other hand, will at least on track not be settling for a P8 as he is caught up to Easy Level Bot. Easy Level Bot, obviously, I believe, also on the inters, so it just now comes down to whose tires are less hot because the track has completely dried up.
Yeah, it's bone dry, so it's somewhat similar conditions to what we had in real life, where it did rain, it went back, and yeah, this is it's a proper drama going on here, and he's really close to the back of Easy Level Bot, both of them on the inters. Pretty much bit on the same time. Maybe King James has slightly better tire condition because he hit maybe a lap or 2 later than Easy Level Bot. But yeah, Banat holding his own now and actually gaining a little bit on Beaver in the final lap. But I don't think those hards will have the kind of grip to maybe overtake Beaver there and get P5. But that's still not off the cards as of now. But yeah, we are on board King James now, who has a 3-second penalty. Helium has a 11-second gap. Has he disconnected?
I sure hope he hasn't, because if he has, well then he tried going on to the softs, and it is pretty much over for him in that case. But you know who it's not over for? Jishnu 11C, who's absolutely dominated qualifying, dominated the race, hasn't lost that P1 position to anybody at all. As a matter of fact, Arjun Senapati has also caught up to Aradhya Gupta, but it's too little too less for Arjun Senapati. Not too little too less for Jishnu 11C, who comes across the line in the Mercedes, wins the first race, and Aradhya Gupta has put it into the gravel over here. Luckily, no driver close to him. Does he have a puncher though? Because his car is wobbling. Arjun Senapati in P2 will absolutely take what has happened to Aradhya Gupta, who I do think has a puncher. He has a double puncher. Can Dark Knight overtake him? He only has one corner remaining. He spins. Dark Knight comes around, and that is Bharat sending it on P1 over there. P1 in P4, Bharat in P5. Dark Knight across the line in P3. P1 in P4, Bharat in P5. Aradhya Gupta still wobbling back, almost hitting oxygen in P6. What a comeback for him after 3 whole years of being absent from this community. Easy level bot in P7, King James in P8, and disaster for Aradhya Gupta in P9. Helium, who has not disconnected, was just slow in P10, with Faizan finishing in P11. And honestly, what a race.
We had a lot of action going on at the start of the race, and my god, that final lap for Aradhya, it was pretty much similar to what happened to Hamilton, and he's also in the Mercedes right here, and he goes from P2 all the way down to P9. The puncture on his car ruined the whole race for him completely, and wow. But yeah, overall, what a race for Dark Knight as well. If Helium had stayed out, he could have had a P3, but it goes to Dark Knight, who basically is like George Russell in real life.
Certainly. Aradhya Gupta in the chat, he's already really pissed off at what has happened. It could have been a really good 1-2 finish in, for the Mercedes drivers in Silverstone, but once again, as I said in the beginning part of this race, Aradhya Gupta has never had any good luck in Silverstone, and his streak of bad luck continues in Silverstone, where he was dreaming of a P2, where he's finished in a P9.
Wow, okay, so Helium gets the fastest lap. Of course, race winner is Jishnu. Helium also gets the driver of the day, and this is a really good stats because most overtakes by easy level bot. So yeah, that's a really nice stat that they have come up with in F1 25. But what a disaster for one, whereas it's an opportunity for others. Beaver finishing in P4, Banath P5 on those hards, staying out in the rain as well. And wow, it has really paid out for him. But yeah, it was Oxygen who came P6. And then, of course, we have the other guys who went on to the Inters previously as well. But yeah, what a race that was, and especially on the final lap.
Certainly, that final lap changed everything, especially in the top order. And yeah, I mean, it's just something else. Honestly, this race, Silverstone never disappoints, hasn't disappointed in 75 years, still continues to not disappoint.
Yeah, we saw mixed conditions in real life as well, and we have similar kind of thing in our season over here as well. So again, guys, it is not scripted, but we love to see it.
Certainly, perhaps some better. I mean, if you were to script it, some would say better than the F1 movie. Only some would say that. But yeah, we do have our drivers for the podium with us, and we will be starting off with our P3 driver, the Ferrari of Dark Knight. Dark Knight.
Yes.
What a race from you and Helium as well. At one point, both of you were looking really, really strong when it was pouring down. You even let Helium by to perhaps give him a chance of catching up and making up a couple positions. But then everything just changed. The race just suddenly dried up. He went on to softs, could not gain any time on anybody, and you ended up getting the podium at the very last corner because of Aradhya Gupta's double puncher. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, where do I start? It was a crazy race. I mean, just to start off with, like, in qualifying, I did not have any force feedback on my wheel, and I somehow qualified 11th. I don't know how, it is so bad. And then during the race, it just popped up. And then, yeah, it was just chaotic. There was a lot of things going on. I started on the hards. I thought that was a mistake because I was losing time to the guys ahead. But then I think the hard tires eventually came into play, and just as I caught up to the bunch, the rain hit, and then yeah, and then Helium went in first because he thought he'd make some gains. So I stuck out another lap, and actually that turned out to be the better decision. And then yeah, after that it was just me and Helium was just like, okay, we got to catch the guys ahead, and then yeah, we were just pushing, and yeah, and then towards the end, I mean, like Aradhya, because I think in the second last lap, I guess it became like completely dry, and our inters were like cooked. It was mine was at on the last lap, it was 83 or 84%, and Helium went in. He had a slightly more tired egg, so he went in early for the pit stop, but it didn't work out well for him. And then Helium was like, just stick it out, lift and coast if you can. Just try to get that P5 because Banat obviously didn't pit, he risked it. And yeah, and towards the end they were catching up so quickly. I was just coasting it because I didn't want a puncher. And then yeah, on the second last corner, I saw near the whale chicane, I saw Aradhya uh, spin because of the double puncher, and my man, it was a rush. So yeah, really good race. And it's funny because today in F1 23 I got a podium, and in the race in in the afternoon, and here also. So I guess a good day today.
Really great day for you, and unfortunate for Helium, but I'm sure you guys have something planned for the next 9 remaining races that we do have in the season.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Congrats, Darky, on that P3. Swagger, why don't you take us away with Arjun Senapati?
Yeah, Arjun, getting a P2 right there, just take us through the emotions and even the final lap. What were your thoughts on that? The changing conditions. You were really close, just following, your teammate following you. What was going on?
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. Me, my teammate Aradhya, we were almost on the same pace in dries also in wets also. But I don't know what happened to my teammate. He just pitted suddenly. I don't know what happened. So I gained a place on him, but he also had penalty. And Aradhya, he pitted one lap before me. So I was also close to puncture, but luckily uh, my tires went through for the last chicane and I was saved. So I got P2.
Yeah, congratulations on that, dude. It's like P2 on the first race. Of course, we have a long season coming, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
hopefully you get more
Thank you.
points.
And Jishnu was just too quick for everyone. Man. Very nice race from him. Excellent pace.
Indeed, you love to see that. So yeah, simply you wanna talk to our even podium person. Some would say
Absolutely.
Jishnu domination would bore the fans.
Well, throughout the last couple of seasons, Jishnu has been racing with us, and Jishnu, who joined in December 2022, I believe, a lot of progression from you. That's what everyone has been saying. Where you started off near tier three, and now just 3 years on, winning as compared to really quick drivers who I'm sure all of us looked up to. So what are your thoughts? How are you managing to get pole position to just completely dominate the race regardless of conditions?
From last game to this game, I think obviously my pace has improved. Maybe the game is suiting more. I like a very pointy car, so yeah, it's good. The car is turning. Uh, Race was good. I mean, pole. I think it was mainly about ERS also. I think quali lap, how you maximize your ERS. Maybe you can gain a few more tenths there. So yeah, I mean this game I'm liking it. I won't say it's the best game, but it's better than the last game. And obviously moving from the G29, which gave me nightmares, um, obviously helping me. But yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, that was amazing dominance from you, and I'm sure perhaps we could be expecting more. What are your thoughts on Suzuka? What do you plan on doing there besides potentially dominating everyone again?
nothing. Just see the whether if it's raining or not. I do like you know rain, so it's good. It suits me. Um, but yeah, I think Suzuka is one of my good tracks as well. So I'll be looking forward for nice track. Yeah.
Well, not a lot of words, but quite a lot of pace from Jishnu. And folks, he did move on from a G29, and so can you if you join our Discord server through our website, indianracingcommunity.co.in. We are partnered with Race Sims, and you can get a sweet deal of an amazing set of wheels that we have, ranging from Conspit to Moza, even with Sim Magic as well. Well, that has been it from us for the first time in quite a long time. We absolutely appreciate you joining us for season 12's first race in Silverstone. We will love to see you next week as well, where we are going down, as mentioned, in Suzuka. No guarantees just yet about what's going to happen, but I know for certain it is going to be an amazing race. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Stay safe, stay happy, and we'll catch you later. Bye bye.